Shalom. I am Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I'm going to talk today, I'm speaking on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, and I'm going to speak today about Shabbat Hagadol. This is the upcoming Shabbat, and I'm going to talk about how we learn from Shabbat Hagadol that we have light at the end of the tunnel of fear and uncertainty. Hopefully, listening to the concepts that we're going to talk about in this short of our Torah, you'll be able to gain some ability to face the horrible pain and tragedies that we are witnessing on a minute-by-minute basis these days, and face that with strength and faith in God. Shabbat Hagadol is the Shabbos before Passover. Why is it called Shabbat Hagadol? There's a number of reasons, one of which is that on this original Shabbos Hagadol, which happened to be the 10th of the month of Nisan, when the Jews were about ready to leave Egypt, the Jews were taking the lambs, which were the gods of the Egyptians, and dragging them through the streets to save them for 4 days, to then bring a Korban Pesach, an offering to God. So the Jews showed great courage and faith in God in being able to do this act against their oppressors, and their oppressors were unable to do anything. So this was therefore designated as Shabbos Hagadol because it happened on Shabbos, the Great Shabbos, where God was revealed as being not just the creator of the world, but being involved in every aspect of the world. The Netivot Shalom makes a very interesting comment on Shabbos Hagadol. He points out that he says, on the Kiddush of Shabbos, we say, Zichron l'maseh v'reishis, v'zecher l'yitzis Mitzrayim, a remembrance of the creation of the world and a remembrance of leaving Egypt. And he points out that the first tablets of the Ten Commandments, it was written, Ki sheishes yomi oso Hashem aser shmayim v'soretz, in the command of keeping Sabbath. It said because in 6 days God created the heavens and the earth. Uv'shnayim ne'amar v'zacharti ki ever ha'is b'mitzrayim. And the second tablets was written, remember that I am God who took you out of the land of Egypt. So this is there are two aspects of faith in God, of emunah in God. One is remembering that God is the creator of the world. And that's Zecher l'maseh v'reishis. But more is remembering Zecher l'yitzis Mitzrayim. That's the belief that God is present. Everything that happens is Hashgacha Pratis, is designed by God. God is present in everything. And he says, Ze'inyan Shabbos Hagadol lifnei Pesach. This is what we mean in the Shabbos Hagadol before Pesach. We know that the Shabbos before a holiday gives the energy to that holiday. So this Shabbos Hagadol gives the energy to Passover. It says, Kivan Shabbat Nimshachim Haros HaPesach Haros Yitzis Mitzrayim. We are taking this energy of the light of the redemption from Egypt, and then we are taking this recognition, and we're recognizing that God is present in our everyday work, our everyday lives. I'm going to tell you a story that Rav Shlomo Carlebach told that points out the importance and the strength and the benefit of emunah, of belief in God, of trust in God. He tells the story of a little Jew who had a tavern in a little city, not even a city, a little shtetl, very few people, close to the city in Poland of Kolbasov. And he had this tavern that he rented from the landowner, and he was trying to make a living. Well, he was having a tough time. The landowner would come all the time, demand his rent, and the Jew didn't have any money to pay the rent. He wasn't making any money. So the landowner decided he's going to teach this Jew a lesson. He's going to teach him how important it is to pay the rent on time. So he sent his thugs in the middle of the night, and they broke into the tavern, and they destroyed everything that was there. So when the little Jew came up the next morning with his wife to open up for business, he sees that everything's been destroyed. Didn't know what he had. Didn't know what to do. Didn't have a penny. And just then he heard, this was before Shabbat Hagadol, and he heard that in the big city in Kolbasov, there was going to have the drasha of Shabbat Hagadol, the speech by the Rabbi. It's customary on Shabbat Hagadol to give a speech, a sermon talking about the important things of the Chag. So he went ahead and traveled to the city where the Apter Rav, the Rabbi Yeshua Heschel, was going to be giving the drush. And he was a little late getting there, so he kind of crowded in at the end of the door. And as he crowded in, he pushed forward a little bit. He heard the rabbi had already started speaking, and he heard him ask the question. He says, why in the weekday Shemona Esrei, when we'd have the weekday davening, the weekday prayers, we end before Shemona Esrei, blessed art thou, O God, who has redeemed Israel, Go'al Yisrael. And in the middle of the Shemona Esrei, we say, blessed art thou, O God, who is redeeming Go'el Yisrael, who is redeeming Go'el Yisrael. And he says, because God is redeeming us even right now. And he says, for example, if there's a little Jew who's unable to pay his rent, and because of that, the landowner destroys his livelihood, he should say, dear God, just like you are redeeming Israel at this moment, then please show me the way to be redeemed. Well, the Jew heard this and he was so excited. He went back and he's saying over and over again, he says, Mi shegoel Yisrael achshav, who is able to redeem Israel right now? And he says, Mi shegoel Yisrael achshav. He keeps repeating it, saying that God can redeem me. And he goes back to his house and he starts dancing and singing. He's dancing around the tavern. The landowner sends his henchmen to see what's going on, and he sees this Jew is dancing and singing. He says he must have lost his mind. What's going on? And he summons him to come and meet with him. And the Jew is frightened, but the landowner summons him. He's got to go. He goes there, and the landowner says, look, I know you don't have a penny to your name, but I don't have any money to lend you, but I'll tell you what I'll do to help you out. I know everything's been destroyed, but to help you out, I'll give you this letter of credit, take it to the next town, and they'll let you buy some merchandise, some wine and some beer, and you can sell it and keep a little bit enough to support your family and give the rest of your income to me. So he went, and he was tremendously successful in a very short time. In a very short time, he was able not only to repay the landlord, but he was able to rebuild his tavern. And then he came back to the Rebbe before Shabbos and said, here's some money I'm bringing to the person who redeems Israel right now. We have to believe that just as we're going into Pesach, we're going through these difficult times, just as God was with us at the time of our greatest suffering, the time we were leaving Egypt, so God is with us today. Believe it, hold on to it, see the light at the end of the tunnel. Take the energy of this Shabbos of redemption, bring it into Passover, bring it into Pesach, and you'll have a Pesach of great joy and emunah. Thank you very much for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Chag Sameach v'kosher, a happy and kosher holiday. Enjoy it, and let us see quickly the coming of the Mashiach, which is promised in this week's Haftorah, and let us strengthen our belief in God through our belief and actions towards each other. Shabbat Shalom v'Chag Sameach.